design of them. I like the goofy seats on them. I like all different types of bicycles. I love riding bicycles. I love everything about it. Just looking at them, they're beautiful. But I thought about something really, really important. See, bicycles don't pedal themselves. Right? They require something special. They require humans. And this is where I started to think more and more and more. And we've touched on it here already. Like the last person that was up and during the keynote, we touched on this a little bit as well. Is almost everything that we do, everything that we're in love with, the things that make us fire, that make us excited, they all come back to the same type of thing. These are beautiful things, but they don't happen without humans. Here's an interesting stat, and this is one that I've been kind of hanging my hat on at work at GoDaddy running social media these days. Consumer trust in brand messages is waning. Only 18% of consumers trust posts by brands or companies on social sites like Facebook or Twitter. That's 2014. That number is actually dropping. Fewer and fewer people trust brands on these social networks. I mean, if you don't believe me, like, you're in this bunch. You open up Facebook and you see this stuff come through on brands, even if it's just a promoted post and it's not an ad. Like, you go past it. I just went through my Twitter profile, it was 3-4 months ago, and started axing all of the brands that were on there. Like, if you wanted me to follow you and you wanted me to engage with you, I wanted to do it with a real person. Like, I know there's a real person behind the brand, but I can't see them. I don't know who they are anymore. It's fabricated. Like, we're all headed that direction. We want to connect with human beings. We want to feel like we're connecting with human beings. So this is scary. When we're putting together a social media strategy, we're putting together a content strategy, we hang our hats on the brand. Like, I want to have the brand. I was going to talk today about storytelling for a brand. Like, that's important. I can see that. You want to brand yourself. But unless people can see the human face behind it, it doesn't work. This is where it comes to a bike shop. So this is scary, right? If that's the case, and I've been putting everything into the brand, like, where do I go from there? People will follow me on Twitter, or they'll say, hey, follow me on Twitter, and I'll hit the brand instead of hitting them. I want to see them. I want to see them as a human being. So same thing. Businesses don't pedal themselves. They require something special. They require humans. We forget about this. I forget about this. I work for a company that's heavily, heavily, heavily branded in good ways and bad ways in what we're doing. Little secret, and don't tell anybody, I hope it's not too, like, recorded. Like, I hate the GoDaddy head more than anything in the world. Like, I despise that head. I just told our CMO how much I hated that head, and I wish that we could get rid of that head. But everybody recognizes it. Like, everybody knows it. And it's ugly, and we had, like, a Comic Sans font for years, right? That's ugly too. But everybody recognizes it, so I totally get that. But now, the way that we win, when somebody comes up to me and they say, like, oh, I remember this one time at GoDaddy you did this thing and it was really crappy, or your CEO did this thing and it was really crappy, or something like, we know if we're able to interact with somebody face-to-face, person-to-person, on social media where it's not the brand interacting with somebody, we win all the time because we hire awesome people. We've got great people working for us whose hearts are in the right place, and they actually know what it takes to start and run a small business. They've been doing it themselves. They've been freelancing. They've been consulting. Human to human almost always wins. It almost always wins with us. So this is where it comes back to then this metaphor. Goldfish Cyclery is a cycle shop that just started up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It's actually an ex-GoDaddy employee that started this up. And we don't try to give him clever names like graduates and things like that. Like, he used to work at GoDaddy, now he has a bicycle shop. We actually encourage people to quit and run the shops. We offer classes to teach them how to run small businesses so that they'll leave the company and go start their own small business. I remember pitching that to our CEO. I was like, hey, I want to encourage people to quit. What do you think of that? He was like, that's fucking awesome. Like, he was like, that's exactly what he wanted to see, is he wanted to see people starting their own thing and running. And so I interviewed Goldfinch to find out how he's doing his work, and this is what we came up with. So there's certain things that you do or that bike shops do really, really well. Running stores do this really, really well. Skate shops do this really well. Comic book stores do this really, really well. So first, they build a tribe. Second, they make sure that they've got the space for their tribe to meet. And this could be online, this could be digital, or this could actually be in person, real world, right? Space to meet. Then they get together, like regularly get together, and I'm going to spend a lot of time on that one right there. They teach others. This gets into the content marketing side of things. And that's the way I like to think about content marketing. Teaching, 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 teaching. And then they get personal. So starting off at the top, I'm building a tribe. Really what this means, well, now I know somebody in here knows Annie Dillard, and I'm going to talk to you about Annie Dillard as soon as this is over, because I'm really excited. You find out what your niche is, so you find out exactly what you can focus on that's different than somebody else. I heard people actually out in the hallway over there, like asking each other these questions, just meeting each other. How do you differentiate yourself? What's your niche? What makes you different than other people? That's fantastic that people are having those conversations and doing that. If you think about it as a metaphor, again, real life, a comic book shop, a coffee shop, a bike shop, somebody that sells knives online, how do you differentiate yourself and make you different? Not just with price, but with something else. Loved the metaphor, the example of small businesses being able to compete against big businesses when they think of themselves more like a gift shop. Like, that's awesome. I love that, because then you have the niche. So you think about it from a bike perspective. They could just go off of the different types of bikes: mountain bikes, road bikes, cyclocross bikes, touring bikes, urban biking, folding bikes. They could go off of the types of people that come in. Do I want to cater towards triathletes who can like name off their like fat, carb, and protein ratios like off the top of their head? Or do I want to cater to a bunch of people that are just biking for fun? And this is a lifestyle thing for them. Or do I want to cater to commuters? Or do I want to cater to adventurers? Who do I want to cater to with my bike store? Goldfinch? Goldfinch has gone after the hipster biker with a vengeance, right? They're going after the all-steel frames, sort of the classic setup. You won't be able to buy a bike there with gears that aren't into the actual, like, the handlebars, right? Like, built into it. Like, they're definitely going after that crowd, and they'll go after, fixies and things like that. But they decided that. Like, this is what our brand is going to be that we're going to lead with. Now I have a niche. Now I have something that I can focus on and work with. So either mountain bikes or lifestyle bikes moving forward. Next, you want to provide a space for people to connect. Now, this is starting to get into where bicycle shops differentiate themselves. I've noticed them differentiating themselves. I go to bike shops all the time, and I only buy bikes maybe every 3 years. I'll buy a bike, maybe. If I can convince somebody, well, if I can convince my wife and my kids that we can forego vacation so I can buy a bike. But I go to bike stores all the time to hang out. Like, I go to those places just to talk to them about the latest bikes. I go there, and all I need to do is go there and just get a bicycle tire, and I'm going to chat with the person behind the counter. I'm going to hang out. Like, they've got this built up. This is the space. This isn't the space to buy a bike. This is a space for bikers to come and hang out. This is a space to come and talk about bicycles. Yeah, we sell bikes. Yeah, we know eventually you're going to want to buy a bike, and you'll probably buy the bike from us. This is the space to do this. So here's the space. Come hang out. We get to talk about this stuff. Running stores, they do really great running stores do this exactly the same way. Coffee shops. Like, for a while, people were like, how could you possibly just give free refills on coffee and free internet? That doesn't make any sense. You're going to go out of business. They're like, no, we want people to come here and make sure it feels like that when you're here. Like, we're providing an experience, not coffee. My favorite coffee shop in the world is Lux, downtown Phoenix. Always packed, always crazy, free refills. Coolest coffee shop ever. Best Wi-Fi in town. Like, it's so great. And I'll go down there and I'll work for 8 hours. People are like, you're losing money. They're like, no, people keep coming here because it's packed. And it's packed with writers, it's packed with creators, it's packed with people that like to go and hang out in coffee shops. So they provide that space. Now, you got a couple of options with this. One of them is an actual physical space. I think if you can pull off a physical space to meet with people or potential customers, people that are part of your tribe, do it. 100% do it. And I work in the internet. I work with domains and websites. If you can come up with a physical space. Co-working spaces are phenomenal. The amount of work that I see exchanged between people at co-working spaces, people are saying yes to gigs that they couldn't say yes to 10 years ago because they know somebody that sits across them that is a MySQL developer. Or they know somebody that sits across them that does know social media, so they can say yes to bigger projects. This gives them a place to kind of hang out. So this is also a space where you can create that niche, pull people in. And then, of course, online. You guys seen the latest feature? YouTube just announced the latest social features for YouTube. Has anybody seen this yet? Holy cow, this is interesting. So they're launching something that's almost like Facebook groups or like Facebook pages for the channels on YouTube. So I could go on there if I really like John Green and the vloggers. I can go on there and there's a new tab over on the side where I can connect with the tribe of super fans related to those two and what they do, back and forth all the time. It's a space, right, for the tribe to go and hang out. So then when John Green writes his next book about angst teenagers traveling across the country and one of them's sick and all that type of stuff, I'm going to know about it immediately, right? I'm not going there to buy a book. I'm buying there, like, I like him. I like what he does. I like what the vloggers do. Now there's this space. So Facebook's the same. Your website, the same, potentially the same. Create a space for people to then connect and pull that stuff off. On social, listen, I'm assuming most of you are social animals and you're all over the place on the social media. The one thing about so we were talking about this earlier. I was hanging out with Sebastian. He wrote a book called Social Sucks. And I kind of feel that way sometimes, even being in charge of social media. Pick one or two places to play to create a space. Are you guys in like a bunch of different Slack channels, different spaces like that to connect? Have you guys done that? Yeah, totally amazing. Like, amazing place to go and play. So you spin up your own Slack channel, you invite people that are part of the tribe to that channel, and now it's this safe place where they can connect with each other. And they can, like, you've got a mini ad hoc social media network. You also have something that we call Giphy Roulette in Slack, where you type in Giphy/any term, and it finds a random GIF on the internet and serves it up. It's very dangerous. That's why we call it Giphy Roulette. Because if you type in, like, Giphy cat, you might see something that you don't want to see. All right, so this is the big question, and this is the thing that bike shops do really, really well. And this is where I would want your head, if anything, out of everything that we talk about today, that lineup, all the different things that are happening, if I want your head to go one space and really, really mull this over, is for you and your business, what is your group ride? This is where bicycle shops kill it. For connecting with people human to human, there's no better way to really connect with somebody on a human level than like seeing them get completely sweaty and exhausted about 30 miles into a group ride, knowing that they have no way back other than on their bike. They're like breaking down and crying, and they're like, I need to eat something, right? But you're becoming close. You know that person. Now that bike shop put together that group ride, did they require those people to buy bikes from the bike shop in order to be on that group ride? No, not at all, right? Just come and ride. They got various, for different people. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a triathlete. You don't need to, be somebody that wants to tour. Just come and ride. Come to this space and ride. Come meet at the bike shop and ride. And we're going to go over some examples other than a bike shop on what you might be able to do with that type of stuff. But what is that regular, always happening, no, you don't need to buy something from me, place where you have a group ride, where people can kind of come back? One way we think about this at GoDaddy, we did just sort of manufacturing or changing up the team that we're working on, is instead of constantly demanding that we're the space, right? Or demanding you have to come to GoDaddy, you must buy something from GoDaddy, I will only tell stories about GoDaddy customers. It's like realizing exactly what we're trying to accomplish. And it's not just make a whole bunch of money. It seriously is like the GoDaddy's vision mission statement, a lot of people don't know this, it's radically shift the global economy in favor of small businesses. That's what we say over and over and over again. It just gets drilled in over and over and over. So somebody goes and they buy they go buy a pizza from Pizza Hut. Everybody gives them shit when they walk through the door. They're like, hey, aren't you trying to radically shift the global economy in favor of small business? With that in mind, we start to think about who's the community then. The community isn't GoDaddy. The community are other people that are interested in making small businesses successful, including small businesses, including web developers, including social media experts, including marketers, right? How do we do that? And so reminding ourselves, right, that's our community, that big, big, big space there, and then this is us. So reminding ourselves that we've got this broader community to take a part of, and we've got this bigger space to work with people. So coming back to that just really quick, that's the thing to think about over and over again. What's your group ride? What's going to be what's the thing that you're going to constantly come back to offer somebody up? Lots of people do this. They do it really well. Brian Kramer has a show every single week. He has the group ride. He has the big H2H chat. Everybody comes back to that again and again and again. Do you need to buy his book? No. Do you need to like him? No. You can just come and hang out with like-minded people that are figuring this stuff out. What's your group ride? All right, teaching. getting into content marketing, or the way that I like to think about content marketing. Lots of different definitions on it. This is where you build your credibility. One of the metaphors I use a lot when talking to people about what content marketing is I'll go to a mechanic to have my oil changed, because I'm not a gearhead, right? Now I go to a mechanic to have my oil changed, and that mechanic says, "Hey, come here. I want to show you how to change the oil in your car." Great. Puts it up, hoists it up. He shows me how to change the oil in my car. Am I ever going to change the oil in my car? No. Never. I'm never going to do it. Do I know how? Yeah, kind of. I know there's a little plug thing, and sometimes it gets stuck, and there's lots of oil that comes out, and you try to put it in a pan instead of onto the ground. Like, I get it, and then you got to refill the oil back. I'm never going to do it, ever. But I'll keep going back to that mechanic. Because he showed me, right? He showed me this is how you do it. Like, I'm an expert. I've got it figured out. I know how to do this. He didn't think, like, if I show him how to do this, then he'll never come back to me again. Like, he knows. He just looks at me. He's not going to change his oil, but I'll show him how to do it. That's the metaphor I come back to a lot of time on this. So you share what you know. You share your ideas. Some people, I had one guy, we were talking about domain names, registering domain names. And we'll invite people, when we hire at GoDaddy, we'll invite people from like MBA grads to come and work the phones at GoDaddy. Not getting like a marketing job or a high-end sales job or something like that. If you really want to start and run a small business, come work at GoDaddy, and you're going to talk to small business owners day in and day out. 8 hours a day, you're just talking to small business owners. You're going to get the coolest ideas. Your confidence is going to grow a ton. Your confidence goes through the roof because you're like, wait a second, you're pulling this off? How are you pulling this off and making money? That's amazing. Why am I not doing this, right? Like, you see that and you want to try it. And you put it together. And I had one guy raise his hand. I told him this during a meeting. He goes, should I be getting GoDaddy to sign like a non-disclosure when I talk to them so they don't steal my ideas? We said, listen, if it's a really fantastic idea and you can execute on it, then you will. If it's a fantastic idea and you can't execute on it, just give it to somebody else to execute on it. Share it. Share it with the world. Let people know. Like, let people know what you're working on and what you're working with. Like, it works. Like, most of the people that we follow, most of the people we're interested in, especially marketers, Seth Godin, like talking to Seth Godin about this stuff. Same thing, like he just spills the beans all the time. This is the definition I love. I love this definition of content marketing. Content marketing, using content to accomplish the same thing you're trying to do with your business or product, AKA spilling the beans. This pulls people in. It does not mean that they're going to take what you produce and then run with it themselves. I started the GoDaddy Garage. It's an online blog, godaddy.com/garage. It's like our magazine. It's like the GoDaddy content marketing engine. And when we started it, we went in the same direction. I wasn't going to write a whole bunch of news articles about how to build your website using GoDaddy products. I wasn't interested in that. I was going to write a whole bunch of articles about how to start your business, run your website, find a domain name, completely agnostic as to who you use. Because I just want to see you, like legitimately just want to see you be successful. So we spill the beans. We tell them exactly how to do it. I have articles on there telling you how to build a website on a competitor's product because it's so popular and so many people are doing it. I'm like, yeah, go do it. But like, kill it. I just want you to get online. So you become the expert. This is how content marketing works and works really, really well. So bike shops, coming back to that, they, like, again, the same thing. They have their group ride, and then they have the classes teaching people how to fix their bikes. Come in, we'll show you how to change a flat tire. Now, they'll also do it for you for a price. Bring it in. But I'll also show you how to clean your chain. I'll show you how to replace your chain. I'll show you how to tune your bike. I'll show you how to do all these different things and putting those together. So teach and then grow from there. And then the final one, getting personal. So we come back to this quote. Consumer trust in brand messages is waning. 18% of consumers trust posts by brands or companies on social sites like Facebook or Twitter. This quote gets me, it makes me nervous. It gets me worked up because of all the work that we put in for so long at GoDaddy. But this is the reality. You've got to get personal. You've got to, like, regardless of your brand, regardless of what you set up, regardless of that impression. I love one-person agencies. Like, I was a one-person agency where you make it sound like you're a 25-person agency. Like, you use the third person on your website. Like, we specialize in, it's like one dude, like, hanging out in his basement. We do this, we do that. right? Because you're hiding behind this brand that you have set up to try to give the impression of something bigger. But the reason that people do business with you, especially if you're a one-person agency, is because of you, not because of how cool your brand is and the way that you've set up. The reality is that you are your brand, 100%. Now, this isn't a pitch just to go buy a domain name from GoDaddy, but something to think about. If you've got the domain name, you've got the stuff set up for your company, do you have the space set up, or even an easy way for people to find you on social media? Like, do you have that space set up that's just for you? Like you as a human being, so you connect with these people in a very human way. Don't lose sight of that stat, it's important. Like this is how the way that we're gonna connect moving forward. If you guys were to watch, if you were to go and take a look at just social media in general at GoDaddy, and the responses and the way that we've been working with people and connecting with people, we've actually pivoted since January, where a ton of the responses you're gonna get are gonna be from an actual person. If you say something about GoDaddy or you interact with somebody at GoDaddy, there's a good chance the response you get will not come from the brand itself. You'll get a response from a human being, somebody that actually works on the team. When we hire people, we even talk about it that way. We're renting your brand. We're renting your personality when you come into social media. Like when you come on board, that's what we're doing. So you have to be able to interact with people on that human-to-human level, not just initials at the end of a tweet, so that people can go like, oh, let's find out who did that later on. Like, I think I was working with MJ. Okay, we'll see if we can find MJ. Like, it's even better if it just comes from MJ. And so with that in mind, you have your business website. Do you have your own website? A place, just an easy place where you can launch, where people know who you are, where people can connect with you, so that you can morph, so you can change, so you can focus on something different. This one here, I want to get live only because it talks about ELO. Howdy, I'm Sean. I really like tacos and ELO. Wait, do you guys know who ELO is? Yes, the best. Xanadu is one of the best movies of all time, right? Yeah, all right. Yes, see Tribe, Annie Dillard, Xanadu. We're ready to go. Electric Light Orchestra. Jeff Lynne. Jeff Lynne is God. And then connecting again on social media. Again, when you connect on social media, connect with you, with your brand, with who you are, not who your company is. Build a tribe, secure space, get together, teach others, get personal. Hitting number 3 again, just that's the one to keep coming back to. What's your group ride? What's your group ride? Like, how are you pulling people together? How are you pulling that space together? Getting people together on this stuff. All right, let's see if it works. I've got a couple ideas up here just to run through that are besides a bike shop for ideas on how this stuff might work. How it works for somebody that's not just like urban hipster skater guy, like running with this stuff. So first one, the Amazonian. There's a guy that I met at a coffee shop. He struck up a conversation with me. He sells hammocks, sport hammocks. He's competing with, I guess it would be Eno, is the really big sport hammock company online. Got really excited talking to him about his business. Only sells on Amazon. That's the only place he does it. That's the only thing he does. I think the name of the company is Legit Camping, is what he does. So his primary business, the way that he's got set up, is just through Amazon. Now, he was talking to me and asking me, how do I grow my business? I want to stay on Amazon for the most part for most of my sales, but how do I then grow my business or get out of what I'm doing? And instantly we end up going to content marketing, for sure. Like, how are you going to make sure that people know that you know a lot about this type of stuff? How are you going to make sure that people know that you're the one to come to figure this stuff out? How are you going to make sure that people know that your hammocks are just as good as the Eno hammocks that are getting sold out of REI? You've got to tell stories. And these stories aren't going to be about your hammocks. They're going to be about the really cool adventures that happen with your hammocks. So we talked through it. So what's your tribe? He goes, well, I'm not really after the REI crowd. I'm not after like the hippie outdoors people. I'm after more like the hunters types. So more of the type of people I might find at a Cabela's, or more of the type of people I might find someplace else. I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. So let's figure out what the tribe is going to be. Then we need to secure space. All right, how are you going to find them and connect with them? Because the chances are, if you're not going after the hippie crew that's at REI, you're not going to connect with them on Twitter. Like, you're going to have to find another space. You're going to have to find another place so that you can connect with them. And so that you have a place where they can kind of connect. Is it going to be jumped off or leapt out of Amazon? Totally possible. Like, some of those sites are so good at connecting. Like he sent me an email the moment I purchased the hammock, sent me the email, gave me a place to go and connect. So I just went into a Facebook group and I could connect and talk about the hammocks and do the different things that are in there. Great. As soon as I hit that Facebook group, we want to talk about what happens regularly. Like, do you have a meetup regularly? Do you end up having, do you make sure that you find out the conference that all these people go to and go hang out and like have the after party with hammocks everywhere? Like, what are you going to do? Something where you're going to be constantly meeting up with these people continually, either weekly, monthly, quarterly. How are you going to meet with these people and get with them face to face? Teaching others. This is where he had started writing content, not about pitching my hammock. Started writing content about camping. Started writing content about backpacking. Started writing content about being outdoors, how to start fires, right? Like, he started writing these types of things up because it all fits within that niche and within that area that he's doing. Like, does it stop people from buying it? No. Like, he can even teach people how to make their own hammock. How to make a hammock out of, like, old T-shirts, right? He could post that and get it out there, not just for SEO reasons. Not just for on-page SEO, not just to register that way. Like, actually put that content together so that then people trust him. They understand that he's an expert. And then in getting personal, this is where he's, like right now when we were talking about it, he's still definitely hiding behind his brand. Like, social media and getting out there makes him a little bit uncomfortable. But he also knows, and this is what I said to him, the reason I'm buying a hammock right now is because of you and the conversation that we just had in a coffee shop. Like, you telling me your story, you telling me about this stuff. I have no idea if you've got nice hammocks. I just think you're really cool and really interesting based on what you're putting together. This is the way that it works. How about a professional coach? This one is almost all tribal. This is all set up. Like, a professional coach like needs to follow this the same way as that bike store does, 100%. Because there's so much content involved, so many things involved with it. So building a tribe, figuring out exactly who you're going to focus on. What's your niche? So if I'm going to focus on female entrepreneurs, like in one town, or if I'm going to focus on people that are only building certain types of things. I've seen some professional coaches get so focused that it's just like dentists and the dental industry. That's the only place that they're focused on. So they focus and they can start to put together that tribe. The tribe could also be cultural, right? Maybe we just like the same things. Maybe we just live in the same place. So secure a space. Have a space where you can actually, as a professional coach, I'd say face-to-face if you can pull it off. That's what I'd recommend. But maybe the space, again, is just online. Maybe it's off of a website. Maybe it's a Blab hangout that you guys do every single week. Maybe it's on Facebook. But it happens, and it's consistent again and again and again. And in that space, you're going to be teaching them things that you would also charge for. In that space, you may be getting up and talking to them about something that you're going to charge for somebody else one-on-one. Right? That gets into that space, again, the content marketing. How am I going to give them this stuff so that they know that I know what I'm talking about? So create that area where people can come together and do their group ride. Maybe even some of those people never talk to you. Maybe some of those people never even become your clients. It's not a space where you invite them and say, hey, I'm going to hold you here hostage for a pitch and then try to get money from you at the end of it. This is different. This is a space that you're going to create and sort of that reoccurring group ride where people that are interested in the things that you're interested in can connect again and again and again. Teach others and then get personal. Make sure, especially in this case, they need to know your background. Being a professional coach, they need to know that everybody loves the hero story. I love the hero story, which means I need to know that you're fallible. I need to know that you make mistakes. I need to know that you struggle. I need to know that you have struggled. I don't want to work with a coach that doesn't know any of that type of stuff. So they have to be personal in putting that together. And then really simple. A photographer or a creator, an artist, a musician. How do they do this and put this together? Same type of thing. They build their tribe by focusing on what they're really great at, especially in photography because it's just everywhere, right? So many different types. Like, just so many people have just decided I'm a photographer. Like, I got great apps. They'll do it for me and make it happen. Well, then what makes you different? Like, standing out as a photographer on Instagram, really, really difficult. Like, you have to do something really remarkable. It's got to be really remarkable photography or just really goofy stuff that's going to make you stand out. But you got to figure out what that niche is. It can't just be goofy and then really remarkable scenery. Like, what's your niche? And then you start to build the tribe from there. Securing a space. Have you guys seen Creative Live before online? Great space for learning how to do photography, WordPress, marketing, all these different areas. One of the things they do really well is that it happens regularly and a lot of the same people are on there all the time. They've created a space for a whole bunch of people to connect and talk about photography, legitimately talk about photography. There's also this thing called I think they call them like 50 Cent. So like 50 Cent Club, but the people that use 50 millimeter prime lenses only in photography, they have their own club. They're like a gang. Like they get angry when they start to hear people talking about zooming into things. They're like, hey, if you're a real photographer, you'll get up off your ass and walk towards it and then take the picture, right? Like they've created this group of people, and this is what they do. And so now they have that group of people. When do they meet regularly? When do they talk about this stuff? And if you're a brand, right, if you're a photographer, or you just sell the equipment, or you sell the services, or you do wedding photography, whatever it is, you've now got this group of people that all care about the same thing you care about. You've got business, you've got networking, you've got all that space to build off of that. Teach them how to do it. Same thing with photography. The best photographers out there that are making the most amount of money. And I know, like, my wife's a photographer, and talking to her about this. She makes some good money teaching, but she gets most of her clients from teaching. Like people that want her to take photos of their family are other photographers. The people that want her to take photos of their weddings are other photographers because they trust her because she taught them how to take photos. She taught them how to do the work. All right, sort of a wrap up. Oscar Wilde, be yourself, everyone else is taken, said the very unique and clever Oscar Wilde. This is one of those things that I'm going to constantly come back to and kind of stress. So at the beginning I talked about creative process. That's the thing that I'm most interested in. Somewhere, they call it the fifth grade effect. Somewhere around the fifth grade, there's a whole bunch of people that before that thought that they were writers or artists. Like I can draw, I can write, I can sing, I can do creative things. Somewhere around fifth grade, we all decide that we have to be cool. And so then we don't want to do that type of stuff anymore. There's still this unique creativity, these unique ideas, this boldness of things that we don't think that we're capable of, that we are capable of. Like we're still capable of doing those things. We're still writers, we're still creators, we're still people that are capable of doing those types of things. So sort of finding that, digging into that, and then coming back to that is what we're after today. That's why, in going over these things, especially group ride, these things, like talk about different ideas and different concepts that come with it. But really what I'm after is just for you to think, you know your business, you know what you're working on. You know the people that you work with and what their businesses are. What's their group ride? How can they spill the beans, right? How can they do the content marketing? What does that type of stuff look like? It's not just flashy. It's not just entertaining, but it's useful. It establishes them as the space and as the expert, like many, many, many stores do. All right. So last CTA, pick one today. If you guys want more information about this type of stuff, go to today.com/garage. As promised, it's not buy this type of stuff. It's really the same type of stuff I was talking about today. How to do SEO, how to do social media, how to build a website, stuff like that as well. And that's it, you guys. I think we're probably good on time. Right on.
All right, good time. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. One more time, Sean.